Well, hey everybody, good afternoon. This is my channel, Caregiver Cookie. My name is Michael. And how I became a caregiver. Well, first of all, I didn't choose it, it chose me. I had a regular full-time job. I had a career going, regular hours, weekends, time to hang out with friends, go out, do fun stuff, have my freedom. And essentially what happened was raised by an amazing mother, a single parent. My mother, how I would say this, really is, I guess over the last 3.5 years, the wheels fell off the wagon. What I mean by that is when mother's type 2 diabetes, essentially she wasn't managing her blood sugars. She developed peripheral arteries disease from the diabetes and then to hypertension. And we ended up basically 3.5 years ago was a tough year, 2021. Obviously, first I lost my dad from COVID New Year's Day. 18 days later, I lost my uncle from renal kidney failure. 2 dogs, and then on March 20th, 2021, my mother was at an estate sale in Pasadena. She fell, she fractured the back of her skull and had a bleeding stroke. I will never forget the phone call I received. I was actually on my way to the gym to get a workout in, and this gentleman was so frantic on the phone. And he told me, "Sir, this is Michael." I go, "This is Michael, yeah." He says, "You need to get out to Pasadena right away. Your mother's had a fall. She's unconscious, incapacitated, and the ambulance is rushing her to Huntington Memorial Hospital." You can imagine, my heart just dropped. I'm trying to stay calm, so I called my uncle on the phone, and I said, "You need to meet me over at Huntington, bring the car." Because I knew right away, I was already planning ahead to get her car. As crazy as it sounds, you have to always plan ahead and bring the car back. Anyways, that's a whole different story. But from there, that experience at that hospital was so eye-opening, because my mother, seeing where her blood pressure was at in their trauma team was amazing. We were very blessed to have a great team there. Second night, my mom has a mild heart attack, and then from there, the thoracic specialist, bypass surgeon, calls. He says, "Your mother's going to require bypass surgery, at least a triple bypass." So July of that year, she's home. I'm taking care of her, and it was like preparing. It was like Rocky preparing for a title bout. I had to literally get my mother, not only put weight on her because she had dropped about 30 pounds. I had to get her back up to her baseline and put more weight on her so that she could be prepared for this major surgery. If anyone's ever had bypass surgery, you know what it entails, and it's very traumatic. It's very hard. They have to cut your sternum open, and there's a lot going on. So the bypass surgery went really successful. From there, I started noticing my mother having beginning stages of dementia, and basically every year we've had hiccups here and there, pretty big hiccups actually, not little tiny hiccups, but big hiccups. I also have a gentleman named Doug. My mother was caring for him. He's special needs. Doug goes to an adult daycare center. He's a fantastic human being. He suffered a traumatic injury as a child when he was about 9 years old. He was hit by a car running out in the middle of the 71 freeway here in Southern California to save a dog. He was hit, medevaced to a hospital. He spent a number of weeks in an induced coma, and he had to learn how to walk, talk. So he had speech pathology, had a physical therapist all the way through. And then, of course, unfortunately, during his youth and his adulthood, he got into recreational drugs, alcohol abuse, severe cigarette smoking. So now, fast forward decades later, Doug has COPD. He has pretty severe asthma, and of course, he has he's mentally wise, he's showing signs of dementia as well. He has the mentality of a 9 or 10-year-old, so I have to always learn to check myself and realize he can't help because he forgets, because he can't retain any information, and he's still like a little child. I want a cup of coffee. "No, Doug, you had a cup of coffee an hour ago." "I want another one." "Why don't you give me more coffee?" "I want cookies." So it's like having a child learning, even though I don't have children. I do have children in the sense I have 2 adults I'm taking care of. So all this fell on me all at once. But I took it in stride. It's kind of that whole situation. You're either going to sink or you're going to float. And I chose to just hold on to the raft and just take it one day at a time. And I always use that's my motto: take life one day at a time. So for me, it's like, how can I be the best possible caregiver possible? And that's obviously making sure our nutrition is on point, good solid nutrition, and of course medication, making sure that both of my patients, Mom and Doug, are getting their proper amounts of medication. Doug also suffered a stroke 2 years ago. That was scary because obviously calling 911, holding on, checking his vitals. So, that exacerbated his dementia even that much further. And then I've got a situation where they'll both now start fighting amongst each other. So I've got two adults, I'm trying to be the buffer, and I've got an 82-year-old woman and a almost 70-year-old man, and it's like two 9-year-olds in a sandlot fighting over the last toy. So what I've learned is, rewarding with either a piece of chocolate or a little bit of ice cream. I noticed that giving them each a little bit of sweets. Oh, and by the way, don't give one a sweet and not the other one. That's just, that's a train wreck waiting to happen. Why is Doug getting something I'm not getting? Okay, Mom, hold on. So what I do is I'll give Mom a little bit of an ice cream or one of those Trader Joe's ice cream cones, and then I'll give Doug a couple of cookies or a little bowl of ice cream when, we're both heads are colliding here. And I've noticed by giving them each a little treat, instead of trying to, butt in, it's kind of, I am the buffer, obviously, but it's keeping both parties calm. Oh, and by the way, I've got 3 dogs. We have 3 dogs as well, too. So I'm also a full-time, responsible pet owner. I cook for my dogs as well, too. I always joke saying that my dogs are healthier than 90% of people in this country because they eat such a strict, regimented diet. But, as I said, I take it one day at a time. I just, I've learned to just appreciate the little time I have for myself that I used to have all this time. I don't have it now. For those of you out there, also, you had a career, you had ample time to take vacations, to hang out with friends, even just to go get a simple cup of coffee and read or just, interact with friends. It's become a luxury. I hate to say it, but so for those of you out there that are in the same boat, I want to let you know that, hey, I'm in the same boat as you. I want to be here to kind of just help you if I can through a lot of things I do in my life that has gotten me to kind of move forward every day. Every day is a good day, but I take it one day at a time. I don't get ahead of myself. And of course, you got to take care of yourselves. And of course, what I hate is when people always say, well, hey, Mike, Michael, you need to take care of yourself. You need to make time for yourself. You need to, yeah, no kidding. If I had $1 for every time someone said that, I'd be a millionaire, right? So in future videos with the opportunity, I'd like to talk about management, so structuring your life so you can still have a life. Obviously, you're not going to have a life you did before, but I feel like you will be rewarded for your good deeds. I think that, doing what you can, I take my hat off to you if you're taking care of a mother, you're taking care of a spouse, a child, especially with a disability. Gosh, I really commend you, because the easiest thing to do is just run away and say, I don't want to deal with it. I'll put them in a home. I'll, if I can afford it, let someone else do it. But a lot of us, we don't have that luxury where we can just pay $7,000 or $8,000 a month to put it in an assisted living situation. Or maybe they don't want to go to assisted living. They want to be at home. So that's where we kind of step back. You humble yourself. You put yourself in check and you say, you know what, I'm going to have time later in life. Right now, it's all about my loved ones, those that mean a lot to me. And even though, for instance, Doug is not family, I've known Doug since 1991. I saw him when he used to be drunk as a skunk, falling down. My mom and I would pick him up, bring him to the house, give him a cup of coffee. I'd take his clothes, his dirty clothes he hadn't washed in a month. He was in a program. He kind of fell through the cracks. And then he had the homeboys, these individuals he'd hang out with in the downtown area of our little suburb community. And they were just a bunch of losers that basically every time his SSI check would come every month, he knew he had to pay his rent, but they would basically con him into giving him money for some weed, buying some 40s for them, and getting themselves drunk. And then sometimes they'd beat up on him if he didn't cooperate. He lived towards the end in a garage, which was supposed to be a makeshift room. And quick story I'll share with you. I'll never forget the day that the social worker called me and said, hey, Michael, can you meet me over at Doug's residence? I want to see where he lives. I'm like, yeah, sure. So when she gets there, she's just horrified. She's seeing that he's living in this, basically a garage with just filth everywhere. He's got a microwave that's dirty. Didn't even know if it worked, actually. He had no restroom, so he had to go urinate outside in the bushes. He could only bathe when they'd give him access to the house. And then of course, like these two guys that lived next door to him, they shot him in the foot with a BB gun. They thought that was funny. And of course, people taking his money. So she asked me, she said, would you be willing to take him in? This is going back 16 years. And you know, that was kind of, I guess, where the start of being a caregiver was, really technically 16 years ago, if you really want to be technical, I guess. And I kind of thought about it, and he started breaking down. He was crying like a little boy, and it broke my heart, sitting there watching him cry like this. He had two older siblings, hadn't heard from them in years. And she said, either I'm gonna have to put him in a home under Medi-Cal, or you take him. So I said, okay, we'll take him. We'll do it by 1 week at a time, trial, and we'll see if we can do this. And you know, 16, 17 years later, there he is with us. And he was willing to go, but I told him, hey, we have rules. We don't drink, we don't smoke, we don't do, you know, pot, you know, weed. So he was like, he was down for that. He said, not a problem. He needed structure, needed stability. He's always with us for Christmas, for all the holidays, Thanksgiving. You know, people buy him gifts for his birthday, for the holidays and so forth. He's family, and my family, it's beautiful because my family recognizes him as family as well. And my mom does too. I think just the difficult part right now is just, you know, seeing her decline with her mentation and her mental ability, and seeing him as well, and how we have more arguments that go on. And I find myself, you know, always having to jump in and find a solution. And again, like I said, you know, a little piece of cake, a little ice cream, a couple of cookies. As much as I'm anti-junk food, in these situations, it's proper, it's appropriate, and it works. So that's kind of a nutshell where I'm at right now. I hope you find some, you know, relief, some structure in your life as a caregiver. I commend you. I'm here as a friend for you. I hope this video has been, you know, if anything, it's given you hope to know that, hey, there's others out there. I'm thinking about you. I think right now in this country, there is, they said, just shy of 40 million caregivers that they know of. It's probably more than that in this country. And in the next 12 years, it's going to be at just under 60 million caregivers. That's a lot of us out there that are caring for those that are in need, that can't, that are incapacitated in some form or another, that don't have the ability to care for themselves. So it's a tough situation. It's stressful, but it's doable. I'm doing it, and you know, you're doing a good deed. So if you like my video here at Caregiver Cookie, if you could hit the like button, please, I'd appreciate that. Any comments, you know, definitely, I'd love to hear from you. And thank you much, and I'll see you next time.